Hey, how's everybody's Comic-Con?
Yeah!
I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. Welcome to the Indie Filmmakers Survival Guide. I've been doing this panel for years now at Comic-Con. My goal is to inspire the next generation of filmmakers because I am so optimistic about the future. This summer, we had 2 movies made by young filmmakers from Gen Z, Obsession and Backrooms, and they beat a Star Wars movie at the box office. I think that's... And not that I don't love my Star Wars, but to see fresh new voices come out and be successful and tell their own stories, I think is just refreshing and exciting. I put together a panel for you of people that I admire. I admire all their work, friends in real life, and let me just go down the line. And why don't each of you introduce yourselves and we'll kick it off. We'll do first half, I'll be asking questions of our panelists, and the second half, we'll go to the mic and get your questions, and we will solve your indie filmmaking problems at all levels, from screenwriting, production, to distribution, because right now has not been a better time to make an indie film. Whether you're a YouTuber, how many YouTubers in the past year got movies released theatrically? It's mind-boggling, it's exciting, and I can't wait. So why don't we kick it off with my colleague and friend, Alan A.
Yes, I'm Alan Meyer-Burnett. I'm the Viceroy of Verisimilitude. Recently produced a radio series known as True Noir, which you can get on Audible and all your favorite listening devices. Go ahead.
I should say, Robert Meyer-Burnett was supposed to be here last night. He was on his way back home, and his tire blew out. He couldn't make it. So it's just like any episode of Versus. Is Rob gonna be there, or is he not gonna be there? Who can say? We'll see. But he's not here today.
Okay. Well, Alan Ing, introduce you to something.
Alan Ing is.
I'm April Wright, and I'm an indie filmmaker. I've made a few documentaries. One called Stunt Women: The Untold Hollywood Story, which actually is played here a couple of years ago, where I got to go to the Marvel set, secret set in Atlanta to shoot that one, and a lot of fun. But this year I made an indie thriller that I'll talk about here.
I'm Elliot Page. Sorry. All right, so yes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Christopher Cooksey, sometimes known as Christopher Moonlight. I am the director of the 2023 Best Indie Horror Movie Award this winner, The Quantum Terror. And from there, I have a Substack where Chris apparently liked what I was writing and asked me to write a weekly column on using AI in filmmaking, among other subjects. So I've been doing that for the past year, and I'm very grateful to Film Threat, just overall, because can I just say, there really isn't any other site that advocates for true indie films. There are other people saying they're indie films, but they're not. They're big studios being weird. Give it up for Film Threat. Great report.
Thank you. Joseph?
Hi, I'm Joseph Kahn. I'm primarily known as a music video director for things like Eminem or Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga, blah, blah, blah. I also moonlight as a film director.
No, I'm Moonlight.
I did a movie called Torque for Warner Brothers many years ago. And I have also done independent movies like Detention, Bodied, and now Ick, which is streaming on Amazon Prime starting 2 days ago. And I troll on Twitter.
I'm Agnew, screenwriter, producer, done a few films with some name actors like Adrian Brody, Nick Cage, Van Damme, and a few others.
Nice. Well, yeah, big round of applause. We'll get to the Q&A portion. We have a microphone there. We'll start that in about 20 minutes or so. But I want to ask each of you, there's an area where filmmakers always get stuck, and they're the same areas every time. It's financing, and it's distribution, The in-between kind of works itself out, because if you get the financing, you're gonna make it, but you might not get distribution, okay? So in those areas, if we can stick just to financing and distribution, what advice do you have on that in those areas? And Alan, I do want to have you chime in as well, but we'll start with Jim and work our way this way. Alan, you can address, because you see more indie movies than I do. We'll have you address that. But Jim, can we start with you? Financing and distribution. Where do people go wrong, and how can they improve in that area to get their projects to audiences?
Well, that's a deep question, but we'll try to answer it quickly. Financing, when you're trying to raise money, one thing I've learned is don't be desperate. Have your shit together, and be able to present your whole project. But don't do comps. I see decks like this all the time say, "Oh, well, this horror movie made $400 million." Be realistic, because people you're getting money from, whether they're your rich uncle or a real film investor, just wants to hear that they're going to make their money back 20% ROI. But to raise money, whether it's 50 grand or 20 million, you just have to really understand the business part. That's what I'm always advocating. Learn the business. That's why it's good to make small films. But also too, when you raise money, you can check with distributors and try to get a minimum guarantee and things like that, and see the viability. Like I said, this is like a 2-hour discussion of this. But just when you raise money, you gotta understand the business side. You can't just be like, we're gonna make a movie with this actor and we need $6 million, because you need to do the research and find out if that Disney guy justifies $6 million, because that's how people spend $6 million and then make $50,000 when they distribute their film.
And any advice on distribution?
Yeah, well, just talk to distributors too. They're pretty open to talking to you. Some of them, some of the smallest ones, you can talk to sales agents, distributors, but again, you kind of have to present yourself very professionally and just don't go, I have this idea. Because a lot of them, unfortunately, are driven by talent. That doesn't make for good films, but they want to know who's in your movie, or who, horror's kind of you can get away with that and have a great concept. But, at the end of the day, just go, make your own movie. That's the best thing. Small one.
Joseph.
So I'm going to trip everyone up for a second, because my experience is very different than most people, because it was a tactical decision I made 30 years ago when I was in film school, that I would go into commercials and music videos on purpose to create a day job, and a well-paying day job. And that was an actual decision I made as a teenager to do that. And so over the course of 30 years, I've now become an A-lister in commercials and music videos. And my feature films, actually, I don't find financing for the most part. I just pay for it myself. And that was the tactic that I chose. I did a movie for Warner Brothers called Torque, and it was a $30 million biker film. And they paid so little money, by the end of that movie, I had $300 in the bank. Because they took me off the market for like a year and a half. And I was like, this is what studio films pay? And the reality is, I have a lot of friends that are A-list studio directors, and a lot of them, believe it or not, are broke, because you get paid so little. Like, say for instance, you say, like a studio comes up to you and says, we'll give you the minimum on a studio film, $250,000. You go, that's a lot of money, right? Well, the reality is you gotta pay your agent, your lawyer, your manager, your taxes. They take you off the market for a year and a half. By the end of it, you're making $5,000, $6,000 a month. Production assistants will make more than you, So I found that it's actually easier for me to lose a shit ton of money on a independent movie, and just bite the bullet and get the movie that you want. And that's why I make a movie once every 7 years, because I'm just literally saving up my cash. I get my chance, I make that movie. It may or may not make money. I go back to work and wait another 7 years. And that's my tactic.
Just a sec, Corey.
Something he said, what do you mean by take off the market? I don't understand that.
You can't, like, if you do a film for Warner Brothers, like Torque, they don't let you direct commercials or music videos while you're working on it.
Oh, okay.
So you can't like make additional income. You are stuck to whatever they pay you.
Now, your most recent film, Joseph, if I could do a follow-up, Ick, starring Brandon Routh. Has anyone seen it? Well, if you haven't, it's available everywhere you can buy it. Look up the trailer, Ick. It's amazing. That movie got just in theaters through Fathom Events. or Fathom Entertainment is the new company. I just interviewed the acquisitions head there. There's an interview on the Film Threat Interviews channel. They are actively looking for projects. They look for indies, they look for horror. They're putting out a movie called, is it Pinocchio Unstrung?
Yes.
They look for faith-based films. What was your experience working with Fathom?
So look, I've done, my first independent film was Detention, which was around 2011. It's now 2026, so I've been doing it for 15 years, and every time I've done a film, the market has completely changed, because the technology has changed. When I started, it was still part of the theatrical world, and there was still a television market. So my first movie, Detention, I spent $3.5 million on it, but the television itself made that money back, because they could make all these deals. I mean, literally, I would look at these checks, and Saudi Arabia would write $300,000 to distribute it on their television stations. And it's not that they were watching Detention, because Sony would have this deal where they would package 5 of their movies together, and they would have to pay a certain price to get, like, if you wanted Spider-Man, they would add Detention and 3 other films as part of the package, and you would get a little piece of that, and they would package together these things around the world, and Sony would make millions of dollars just doing television deals. But guess what? The television deals are done. It's gone from millions to zero. That doesn't exist anymore. Streaming now is how you get all your money, and the theatrical component is different. So Body, my second film, there was like a 30 theater day and date thing. That didn't work, because once in the theaters, people will just wait for streaming. So this, I experimented with Fathom. Fathom basically is, the thing they do is that they release the movie on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, okay? The worst days of the week that people don't go to theaters, right? So it's just a gamble. And they'll release it for 1 screening a night, okay? That sounds great. And they say they'll put it in 900 theaters, but here's the thing. Nobody here knew it was out, you know? Like, I got 3 claps of people who've seen it. So it sounds like a great deal. You have 900 theaters, but you don't promote it. And the general rule of thumb in Hollywood, I'm just giving you the info, is that every theater you should have $10,000 of promotion in order to just penetrate the market in any specific location. So what Fathom will ask you to do is, if you were in 900 theaters, come up with your own P&A. That means prints and advertising. You have to come up with your own promotions. So you come up with that cash, you know, it could be $50,000, it could be $200,000, whatever, and you've got to pump in your own cash, and then they then split after that. You know, basically, whatever Fathom makes, they split with you, you know? So you're out your money, plus you're out the amount that goes out there, and they immediately start making profit while you're still trying to collect the prints and advertising. It's an interesting deal. It's a little weird. It's in AMC theaters. The other thing is that most people in AMC have the movie pass thing, so most people don't go see Fathom things because you can't see with your AMC pass. So it's a weird thing. I don't know if I would do it again, to be honest with you.
Or you could buy a ticket to a different movie and then go see your movie. But I've never done that. Chris, what do you have to say on financing and distribution?
Well, again, my point of view is a lot different, because I am, unlike your guys' reputation where they say you guys hate everything, but you really don't. I really do hate everything. No, I'm not really as interested in being part of the traditional machine. I just love making movies. And I've found a formula for doing it pretty much out of my own home, which I hope a lot of you will at least experiment with, and it'll lead to other things if that's where you want to go. But my first movie, The Quantum Terror, which won 2023's award for this, and thank you very much again for that, really feels like that changed my life. It was a $15,000 movie where I did partial Indiegogo, I sold my car, and I used some tax return money, and then I found an investor who actually became a producing partner on my new movie. We ended up having a lot in common, so we created a good relationship. He's a retired anesthesiologist that never got married, so he's got some money, so he can put up little amounts. For me, what I've really come to realize is, like he said, the technology has changed so much that things that used to cost a lot of money no longer cost a lot of money. Cameras are cheaper. I'm a big advocate for the open source community. There are people putting out free open source programs that you can use, whether it's AI or Blender or editing softwares. These all reduce your costs. The quality of cameras has gotten so good that you don't need as much lighting, so you don't have to worry about that as much. Now, can you create a Hollywood-grade film that way? Pretty soon, yes, to be honest. At least something that can be good enough to compete for attention with Hollywood. You've seen me write about the Amazing Digital Circus. Glitch Entertainment in Australia, I think they raised $3 million, and man, did they do a lot with that money, and they got it in theaters through Fathom Entertainment, which, by the way, I am following up with next weekend for another article. Nice. So read my articles because I talk a lot about this. As far as distribution goes, again, I wanted to self-distribute my movie, not because I didn't think it was worth that, but I wanted full control over it. I wanted full control over my IP because I'm learning too that merchandise is going to be very important to whether you want to make a lot of money or not. That's something else, another subject, but I just went with FilmHub, and I maybe didn't quite make my money back, but the reason for that is because I didn't have any P&A behind it. I learned a lot there. And also, another topic that we may or may not get to, but I've written about on Film Threat, is the viability gap, which is something that, if you know anything about basic economics, is very important to know if you're going to make a film. It's a decision you have to make with, am I going to make something low quality and try and impress people with how much I did with a little? And you can do that, but people are still going to look at it and go, well, it's cheap, so it might not make money that way. Or you could spend more money, but you could overspend what you could earn. So I do write about closing that viability gap. Andrew, did that answer the question?
That's great. I'm going to actually jump on what you said a little bit and add to it. So what Chris mentioned is a company called FilmHub. You can release your movie on VOD through FilmHub. There's other companies I would recommend. So look up FilmHub. Also look up Indie Rights. My film, Attack of the Doc, was released digitally through Indie Rights. Their distribution contract is on the website. It's a very simple deal. They pay every quarter. They pay me by PayPal. I get a report, tells me how much revenue, and then the money shows up. I split it with the people who worked on the film. That's how that works. So IndieRights.com, look up their contract. They're very helpful, but then I held on to the Blu-ray rights, and I make more money selling Attack of the Doc on Blu-ray, which you can get at shop.filmthreat.com. Not that I'm plugging it, I'm just saying that's where it's available, but you have those sources are available to you. So the way you can get it out there, you can get your movie out there, but as both Joseph and Chris mentioned, then it's about promoting it. So just want to add to that.
And I'll just also preface with FilmHub as well, you keep 100% of your IP rights. So they're non-exclusive, and
right.
they don't hold any sway over your copyright. It's still 100% yours.
And Indie Rights, I actually carved out. I said, I want the Blu-ray rights. So I promoted that differently. So all these companies have different deals. You need to, when you get in the room, ask for what you want. April, you've made documentaries, various ways. Your first narrative feature, a horror film, is going to be at Kevin Smith's Film Festival.
Yes.
So tell us about that, and if you could talk about financing and distribution.
Yeah, so my 2 cents on this question. First off, I had an inkling I should have focused on music videos and commercials. I know that for sure, but I'm a movie lover, so this is what I try doing. So putting financing together, I think it depends on the project, and if you have a cast, you get more budget. It's just all these variables. But the point is to make something so you can make something else and continue to learn and get better. So lower budget doesn't necessarily mean bad. I did programming for Sundance for 16 years. I watched probably close to as many indie films as Alan does in a year. But anyway, so you kind of have to look at what you've got. But one thing that I can say that we did on this film, it's called Final Trip. We don't have our final distribution yet, but we're in the process of figuring that out. And we had been shopping that different ways, and we even had I wrote it, and then I also ended up directing it. For a while we were looking for other directors, finally got to the point where the types of directors we were looking for had less credits than I did, so it was like I should direct it, and that actually helped to be a writer-director. And we were just looking for the money, but then we were like, you know, what if we start looking for other pieces? And a lot of it is a road trip movie, so there's like car and motorcycle stunts. There's a lot of it that takes place in a car, and technology has evolved. So we started thinking, what if we shot it on like an LED volume screen and did the car process work on a stage instead of some of the traditional ways? And we were trying to price out, what if we did that? What if we did it against a green screen? What if we did it live? What would these costs be? And as we started thinking about that, people referred us. I know somebody that works at a studio that has the volume screens. So we went in there. They wanted to support indie filmmakers. They wanted to support women filmmakers. They gave us a fantastic deal. Okay, great, we have that. Then they started referring us to people that have the plates, to people that do production design for screens like that. Well, the people that have been working on screens like that in LA have been working on The Mandalorian and things like that. So next thing you know, we're talking to production designers who have worked on these big shows. So people start liking the script and showing it around. By the time one of the companies we had talked to about it came back to us, maybe almost 2 years later, oh, we're getting some funding now, we're interested in this film. Well, by that time, we didn't have all the funding, but we had some, but we also had all these other assets. And it put us in a position where we didn't just have the script, where we had a whole bunch of things that were not money accumulated because they liked the script or they wanted to support us. And so we were able to come into it as a co-production, and that helped push it across the finish line. And then we got the California Film Tax Credit, and that pushed it across the finish line. And once, so you work a long time, you're looking for pieces, and then once the things line up, like we were shooting a few weeks later, like it happened super fast when it finally happened. So I think it's look for the money, price it, size it the right way. I also did crowdfunding once to finish one of my documentaries. And I think the other piece of it is your social media. You have to have a presence, and you have to be showing people your work and what you're doing, and that's what the part of the Obsession and Backrooms story is about. And when I tried to get finishing funds for one of my docs, I did a crowdfunding, and as I was the first few days into it, someone who had seen my work and was a fan of my work contacted me. I didn't respond because I didn't know who it was, but then he realized he knew a friend that knew me and got to me and said, I can help you out with that, and gave me like most of the money. So it was like a single person that saw the crowdfunding, and we still got crowdfunding, but somebody who had become a fan of the work just gave me the money. So there's all sorts of ways things can happen. So yeah, but just keep building your team, showing it to people, and you don't have to necessarily get the money first, I guess, is my experience.
So you're at the beginning of your distribution journey with your festival debut at what is it, the Smog?
Yeah, so we finished this film about a year ago, and then went through post-production and had some funding fall away, had to get more funding, finally finished it. It features Doug Jones, which a lot of you know, who is a famous creature actor. And he said he never really had a part like we gave him, because we showed his face, we didn't make him, we put a lot of crazy makeup and a costume on him, and he was amazing. But that was awesome. And then the lead actor that we got in it had been in the movie The Holdovers and had done some TV guest stars, but then he got cast as a lead on a 911 Nashville TV show. So that I think will end up helping us as well. But for distribution, again, it has to fit the project, because if people think they want to get into theaters, but if people don't know it's in the theater, it doesn't necessarily help you. But I feel like almost everybody can get their film out there now through Film Hub and places like that. You can get a VOD release through places like that. And I don't know if people know about the tiers, but theatrical, that's kind of its own thing. But then you do TVOD, transactional VOD, which is pay-per-view, like I'm gonna pay $5.99 whatever to watch this movie, or $19.99 to purchase it or whatever. the next tier is the subscription VOD. That's the super hard one. That's what replaced, like Joseph was saying, the TV. Now it's like a streamer, and that is very, very hard. And that is where you mostly need a sales rep to help you do that. Also your foreign sales, also getting on airlines. Those things bring in money, but you need to have a rep for that. But like the basic, or putting it on YouTube, I think that's accessible to any filmmaker now.
Alan,
And,
you
yeah, and then you get to the ad-based is the next tier down, which is like the Tubies and the Plutos, and you actually make money on those, so.
Yeah, I just
Nothing
sorry to
against those.
chime in on it, but again, Alan and I were talking about this as well with the Amazing Digital Circus. They're primarily YouTube. Their theatrical release was the 9th episode of their YouTube show, which usually did about 30 million views in 24 hours of an episode drop. So never underestimate YouTube.
Alan, you see more indie films, I think, than any of us here.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice in this area?
Yeah. So having never made a movie in my life, but I've been with Film Threat since 2017, and I can definitely tell you the process has evolved since then, almost 10 years, to where almost every step along the way is in your hands. You know, even now distribution is in your hands, and it's about being creative. And so, you know, the big encouragement is if you have a movie in mind, make the movie. If you want to get it financed, the only piece of advice I can give you there is make a short film. It does two things. First, it tells an investor that you can finish something, and then it shows you your competence. And from there, you know, just understand, you know, what I tell all filmmakers is, you know, what's your favorite movie? Why is it your favorite movie? How did the camera move? How did the camera capture images? You know, we talked about Motor City today, dialogue. You know, is it dialogue heavy? Is it not? You know, that's where you want to kind of hone your style and how you want to tell your stories. But overall, that one path that used to occur long ago, which was the studio system, is no longer, I think it's out of reach for everyone, and I think it's unnecessary for everyone. And so, you know, again, if you have a story in mind, you want to make a movie, make that movie. The tools are available to you.
And we talked about that YouTube is in a way also not just a way for people to see new filmmakers and up and coming filmmakers in movies, but also it's like a social media platform. It's a way to build audience.
Well, you forgot Markiplier.
Yeah, that's right. Iron Lung, which was a huge hit. Or I even look at movies like Terrifier, you know, and how that became successful. Started as a short film, as you pointed out. We're gonna go to, because we're running along, we're gonna go rapid fire. One last question before we go to your questions. We'll take the questions at that mic, so line up over there. And there's gonna be a special treat for the person who asked the first question. And you'll discover what that is momentarily.
Okay, calm down, everybody. Don't rush that mic. It's alone.
So my question for everyone here is, one of your closest friends is about to go make their first feature movie. What is the one piece of advice you give that friend, very close friend? What is the one thing you would tell them? They're about to go make the movie. They're sweating. It's the night before the first day of production. What do you say to them? We'll start with Alan and go down this way.
Yeah, I asked that question to Stephen Merchant. Oops, I dropped a name. And you know, that piece of advice always stuck with me. But you know, when you're ready to do it and you have that script, get a bunch of your friends together and have a table read and go through it. You know, it's you know, this is something you shouldn't be doing alone. You should have people around you to kind of be eyes and then also be humble enough to hear what they have to say. But hearing your script said out loud says a lot. It says, you know, you'll start picking out what the weaknesses are, what the strengths are, and that's a great next step.
Great, April.
Well, the one thing that I think can spiral quickly is just setups when you're actually in production. Lighting can take a long time. Moving from one location to another can take a long time. So especially when you're doing something low budget, indie budget, like the film I just shot, we only shot for 15 days. And so we had to be really precise, and that was a conversation I had with the DP the whole time. Like, we can get really fancy, can we get really fancy quick? Can we light it quick? Can we move to the next one quick? And we were constantly having that discussion when we planned everything down so that we could be just as efficient as possible, get through our days, and make it for the budget that we had.
Great. Chris?
All right, I'm kind of going to piggyback on what she said. My bit of advice would be make sure your vision, and that's a cliche director saying, but that's not my vision, but a vision is very important. A clear idea in your head, what you want to do, because when you're on set with your cast and crew, they're going to look to you for what are we doing here? Do you want this or do you want this? You should have an answer for them. If you don't, they're going to start to lose confidence in you and it's going to get harder to lead them. So have an answer. And even if you don't feel like you have an answer on the spot, just reference back to your vision. And I'm also going to say, I brought here storyboards. Storyboards, whether it's stick figure theater or not, are so helpful to your cast and crew. You can point to it and say, this is what it's going to look like, whether it's the framing of the shot, what the actor is doing. By the way, scan my QR code because that'll take you to my Substack. I'll leave this up front here. But seriously, have a vision and have confidence in that vision. Everyone's there for you and they believe in you. Keep that faith going by having an answer for them.
I'm going to give you the most nuts and bolts answer that I can think of. The most practical thing that I can possibly think of is that when you're on set, you only have a certain amount of time. That time will probably be between 10 to 12 hours. That means that you'll probably do one setup an hour. So, as a director, you should have like basically 10 to 13 shots mapped out, no matter what the day is. You can do it as one-ers, you can do it as other things like that. On a practical level, if you ever watch a television show, you ever watch a movie, and you look at the scenes and you count the number of shots they actually do, it usually comes out to 10 to 13 shots a scene. And so that's what you as a director should absolutely have in your pocket, 10 to 13 shots every day.
Oh, can I ask you a quick question about that too? How many shots do you do on one setup? Because that's one thing that I did as well, is I had one setup and I tried to squeeze as many shots out of that setup as I could.
Well, I don't know what you mean by setup, like a camera position?
The camera position, lights are in the right spot. You're like, hey, we got these shots here, here, and here that we can all get.
Well, I mean, the setup is a setup, but I would say the shots are like within those setups. So whatever you want to do in each setup, it's up to you and whatever your style is. But ultimately, when you get into the editing room, you want 10 to 13 shots a scene.
Jim?
I'd say make sure your script is up to par, because people just write something once and then they shoot it. Rewrite it, sit on it for a few months. It's all about the script, because if you watch Swingers, that movie technically is a disaster, but I'll watch it over and over and over because it has a great script. And hire a very good sound man.
That's great advice. Thank you for that. Now we're going to go to your questions here at the microphone. I have something special for you, sir, since you were first. But I want to make sure you limit your questions to about the subject of the panel. Nothing about the Taylor Swift wedding, which Joseph Kahn attended, where bags of garbage from the wedding were selling for thousands. Do not ask Joseph any questions about the Taylor Swift wedding that he attended recently in New York City. But what's your question?
Hello, my name is Enrique, cinematographer. That's why I have the ANC hat. But for me, it's a question of, I always get stuck on, how do you know when, it's a little bit different from the production side, but how do you know when your shot is not getting a perfect and you just need to take it and move on, or if you should still keep trying to perfect it?
If it's not going to get what?
How do you know if your shot is as perfect as you can get it, or if you're going to keep trying to perfect it into exactly what you want?
Never.
You never have time to perfect. You kind of realize after it's done, like, whoa, everything lined up somehow. You try to, but you can't get perfect, especially when you're doing indie. And I think big films say the same thing. Well, there's a lot of big directors that do it until it's perfect. But yeah, an indie film, yeah, you just got to do the best you can, plan, and then trust the other professional people that you put around yourself.
What's that phrase? Perfection is the enemy of good.
Oh, good is the enemy of
Good
great.
is good. Yeah. Good is the enemy of great. There you go. But and you get a film threat koozie.
Wow.
That
It'll
and
keep
I
you.
will be giving these away
Don't
at
take
the
it because you take this.
booth 1705 after the panel. There you go.
I got some for you too. Here you go.
I use those koozies to hide the drinks that I purchased and brought myself, because if you've seen the prices at the hotel bar, crazy prices. So bring your
He's not
own,
joking about that.
bring a koozie, and save yourself a lot of money. Maybe
By the
I
way,
should
I want
say
to
that.
follow up that question with what's Taylor like in real life?
Your question right here.
Hi there. We're prepping a short film. We're in the writing stages right now. I have some potential actors and a cinematographer that actually wants to donate his services, so awesome there. My question is more about film festivals for short films. There used to be kind of a clear path with that, and now it's all over the place. Some people say, well, there's way too many short film festivals in LA, so do a regional festival. Some people say, don't even do festivals at all, release it through some other platform. What's the best route for a short film in your opinion?
The best pathway for a short film is it festivals? Is it should you upload it to YouTube like some YouTubers have done? And also, I'll say, quick comment before I go into our panel, is that certain festivals definitely, they kind of screen the movies for a certain kind of content they're looking for. And I think the reason the Obsession director and Backrooms director broke through is they depended on YouTube. Really, that's the audience. The audience is they like it or they don't, based on views or clicking like. What do you guys think? I mean, April, you worked at Sundance.
Yeah, and I actually still do programming for a couple of festivals to help out here and there.
Ours is a true crime thriller.
Okay, I think it's different than it used to be. You used to want to keep it off of being online, but even like Sundance doesn't care anymore if it's online. So yeah, it's evolved. So I think you want to do both, and just choose festivals that fit you. So whether geographically it's near you, whether it's a thriller, horror thriller focused genre festival that would suit your genre of your film. Be focused, don't just throw the splatter. But the main purpose is to experience it with an audience and to meet other filmmakers. It's not like people are going to those festivals going, oh, okay, there. It's about the people you meet. It's more about that. And putting it online is also a good idea nowadays.
Great question. All right. Next up.
I was thinking about kind of like a marketing angle, and as digital technologies have got more prevalent.
Is that you, Oliver?
It is me.
I can tell by your accent. What are you doing? Hey, good to see you.
It's good to see you too. But I was thinking about, like, since AI has become prevalent, and also with Oppenheimer being this huge juggernaut, even with mixed reviews, right? But everybody wanted to go and see it on IMAX, right? And I think they feel the fact that it's shown on film means that it's bespoke and handmade. And does the panel think that even if you're not shooting 1570 or you're shooting 35, do you think that that's going to become more of a thing moving forwards?
Yeah, good question.
Anybody want to?
Anyone on the panel?
This is like my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
My time to shine. So okay. So as you may or may not know, I primarily, not exclusively, but primarily write about using AI in filmmaking. I have it from multiple sources that work in the industry, including special effects houses, that everybody is using AI. They are just using it. And I know how to spot the good AI, and I'm telling you, you guys are seeing it, and you're not knowing it. So as far as the digital technology goes, my advice to everybody, by the way, show of hands, who here wants to be a filmmaker or is making a filmmaker? I want to see all the hands. Okay,
Wow.
right. I am now giving you permission to go make money. All right, and don't let anybody tell you how you can or can't or should create, because they don't give a crap about you. They're gonna forget about you as soon as they walk away from you, even though they're gonna tell you what they think about you. It is all about the script, the story, but not just the script. It's about understanding the medium you're working in and saying, how can I use this medium to the best of my ability to tell the story for that medium? For example, Nightmare Before Christmas, that could only be a stop-motion movie. Toy Story could only be a CGI movie. We don't know what AI can do yet in the hands of the right people. South Park, who thought little paper cutouts were going to be so evocative for so many people for so many years? Figure out what speaks to you about a medium, whether it's film or digital, and figure out how you can make it personally tell your story in a way that nobody's ever seen before. My next movie, Escape from Planet Omega 12, is a combination of practical effects, miniatures, and puppets, because I'm a big practical effects fan. But we're also using CGI, and we're using a hell of a lot of AI for the animation performance capture. I'm creating work for actors, because I'm using their performance, both voice actors and performance actors. So, you know, my big thing with your question is, it doesn't matter. Because Christopher Nolan's gonna, you know, he's gonna talk about film and all that all day long, and it's gonna be a big PR talking point. But if you hit something that evokes an emotional response, a connection with your audience, then that is what you should be doing.
And on the AI point, Elon Musk's The Odyssey is coming this year, and we will review it in Film Friend, right, Alan?
Yes, we will review it.
By the way, there's a misconception, like, what Elon Musk is pushing is not what people with AI are actually doing. He's pushing a product. I'm talking about taking that product and doing something with it that the people creating it don't even anticipate people can do. That's up to all of us.
Can I
Good
say one
question,
thing?
Oliver. We'll hang out with you later.
Can I say one thing about the film thing?
Oh, sorry, Joseph.
It's just not practical for independent filmmakers. You're not going to be shooting on film. You're going to be shooting on digital or AI or whatever, stuff like that. It's like Christopher Nolan is the most powerful man in Hollywood and has the biggest budgets, and he can shoot on film all day and night. You can't. So forget about film.
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking 1570, but I was thinking maybe 16 mil, because that also gets
16 mil is expensive.
Keanu Reeves asked David Lynch, so are you done with film? And David Lynch said, don't quote me on this, Keanu, but I think I am.
That's a great David
Good
Lynch
impression.
invitation.
Good impression.
Thanks, Oliver. I'll see you later. Next question. Let's go.
Hey there, I am Victor. I'm mostly been a voice actor and a writer for animation because it's, while expensive, a little bit physically easier. In terms of getting a story made, particularly in live action, but either way, from an indie point of view, on the indie sets I've been a part of, while invigorating, they are physically stressful. Can you recommend any sort of hacks for, like, normally they would say if you don't have money and leverage your muscle and your sweat equity and all that, I am just one half robot. If you have, or short on both, are there any tricks that you picked up just to make getting your story into a finished product as physically easy as possible?
Tips.
Nope.
So I'll actually speak to that again. Again, AI is offering solutions. Like, it's not just image generation or video generation. There's a hell of a lot of performance capture. You can do audio-driven performances where you speak the audio of your character. Like, say, you know, I create an image of Marge Simpson, which would be IP violation, but I'm just using an example.
And then I want to create a story with Marge, giving you advice about how to make your film go to 11 like Spinal Tap.
Sorry, one impression leads to another. But you can, I would recommend looking into what AI can do. Another thing that it can do is, I have been working with actors who are not on location with me, and I get them to set up their camera and give me a performance, and then I can take that video footage and transfer it into a character. It's not what everybody wants to do. Some people want to be on set with actors, but in your situation where you've got something in you that you want to create, but you're limited by what you can do, AI can scale solutions for you. So don't say no to it. Investigate and see what you can make it do.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna, you know what? I'm gonna contradict Alan here for a second. I actually think filmmaking is so hard and so expensive and so brutal, you know, that if you can make a short film, you might as well just go for the whole thing. Like just make a film.
That's
you know?
what I do.
Like if you go for 30 minutes, why not just go for 120 minutes, you know? Because the payoff is so much greater for a 120-minute thing and in terms of the festivals and things. And I actually did a short film that was the best case scenario for a short film. I did a thing called Power/Rangers. And
Yeah!
Wait, that
You
was
seen
Gore?
that?
that was me.
That was you. That was great.
And I released that, and within 3 days it had 20 million views. That's the best case scenario for a short film. And you know what happened? I got into every Hollywood writer's room and director's room and like studio film. I took tons of meetings, and it goes away after a month. If you don't sign yourself up to Spider-Man 52, people will literally forget you, and then someone else comes along. And no one even fucking cares about Power Slash Rangers anymore, you know? But a film stays around forever. So if you're gonna put all this effort into a movie, put that extra effort and figure out that story that lasts over an hour, and the payoff is so much greater. If you're gonna go through the pain, go all the way.
Yeah. You can do it, thank you.
Great. And I'll add one quick thing based on my years of watching lots of indie movies and lots of movies. I've seen movies made for $100 million that were terrible, Supergirl, and then I've seen movies made for nothing that blew my mind. And the thing that is in common I see with indie filmmakers when they do something, it's not money, it's sheer force of will. It's the force of will of, I'm getting it on the screen, it'll be paper cutouts. There's a Pixel Vision camera from the early 90s called Don from Lakewood, you can probably find it, that is genius. It was made for $0 with paper cutouts. I've seen some amazing movies, sheer force of will, not money. Money will come later. Thank you for your question. Give a big round of applause. And I think we have time for maybe one last question, maybe one or two. We'll see if we go quick. Thank you. What's your question?
My name is Fernando. My question is, is there anything you think would have people take your pitches more seriously? Like anything that would help people take your pitches seriously?
Yeah, how can you get your pitches taken more seriously? I know doing a deck, a lot of filmmakers do decks.
What are you talking about? Like to raise money, or like you want to go pitch it to
Like in
Paramount?
all instances, like it's just.
Well, here's the thing: is this whole panel and everybody in this room should know that like you should avoid gatekeepers. That's what it's all about: getting around the gatekeepers. And now, because things are changing so fast, the gatekeepers that were hard before are even more difficult to get through because they're all terrified. All of them, all the studio execs, all the TV guys, everybody's scared of what's going on. So you need to go make your own thing. Don't worry about pitching the thing. You know, I've sold tons of shit. I still get the door shut in my face. So, so just go make your own movie.
Don't think about the pitch. Think about what you want to say. That's where it starts. The rest follows. You have a story to tell. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, pitch it to yourself. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but pitch it to yourself and go, like, would I go see this? Would I see the movie poster and stop and be like, yeah, I want that? Because there's been plenty of times where I think I have a bright idea and then I think, but would I stop and watch it? Not really, but what turns you on? Go make that.
Great question. Thank you very much. And time for one more question. I'm sorry. We'll take it in the hallway, but what's your question? Let's see. We're running short on time, but please.
Hi, James Kahn, huge fan of the music video work, especially Delicate. I have a small production company. It's me, my partner, and a friend of ours with gear that we've gathered over the years. We just finished shooting our feature, finished editing it, 0 budget, literally it was just us and our friends. I am also a SAG actor, so we shot it under the SAG micro-budget agreement. So my question is there any reason why we should keep doing it under the SAG micro-budget agreement if our goal is to grow and become professional even more so than we are now? Or should we really strive to start financing really hard and maybe move to a higher tier agreement so that we could distribute?
No. Keep it as low as lie to SAG about everything. Don't make it $25,000 movie. Just don't make you put up a bond. It takes forever to get back. Just lay as low with SAG as long as you're doing things right. That's what I'd say.
Well, let me be a little bit more honest in terms of my perspective. There's a point at which you may want like a real name actor, a Nick Cage,
that's different.
Kevin Spacey or whoever you get your hands on. And that person won't want to shit where everybody else shits. So you have to get like a toilet for that person, And that toilet costs money, a room, things like that. And pretty soon when you have 2 of those actors, your budget for their things they need for 3 weeks of work is going to blow up half your budget, you know? So you have to go to the next tier.
Yeah.
So, and then suddenly when you get to the next tier, you realize you have to make a certain amount of money back, you know? And the real economics of Hollywood start playing. That's what it really comes down to. That, like, when you suddenly have people that have things they need because they don't want to sit around and make home movies. They want careers. You know, you're taking a month out of their life, these millionaires, and saying, let's go make something really tiny. They're still millionaires. They still want a bed. They still want a nice hotel room. They still want privacy. They still want decent food. So it just depends. Do you want to play with these millionaires or not? That's what it comes down to.
If you can stay on the lowest level, stay there. You know, if you make a movie for $250,000, like I said, tell SAG it's $25,000. They don't need to know what you're spending on it, other than actors, really, because then you have to pay P&H. It just gets so many things you got to do.
And there is a website, I believe it's sagindie.com. You can get more info. Thank you for your question. Let's give a round of applause. As we wrap up, I want to say thank you to everyone here. Jim, Joseph, Chris, April, Alan. Go to filmprep.com. Every year we do an award show called Award This. Both Chris and April were winners, and Joseph. Jim, you haven't won yet. It's,
I won twice. I won 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, go to awardthis.com. We are all about championing indie filmmakers. Thank you for coming here, and thank you to the staff at San Diego Comic-Con. I've been coming here a long time, and I just appreciate what Comic-Con does. So thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a great con. Woo! Woo!